Hey guys, Mr. Horton here with virtual backup lessons for Studio Art 1, Studio Art 2, and Film Appreciation and Cinematography. Hey guys, and welcome to my basement and my pool table where I'm explaining to you guys the next step in our project. So in front of you guys, for the next step, you should have your picture, which is, again, outlined 3 times thickness. It also has the white indicating the final color accent. This is the last grade we did, the last classwork grade. You should have your 2 colors, red and yellow. You should have your poster board. You should have a scissors, which I'm not sure if I gave you guys. I'll figure that out, but if I didn't give you guys the scissors, grab a scissors. Okay. You should have your X-Acto blade. You should have your X-Acto blade extras, which we might not need, probably won't need. You need your glue, and you need your cutting board, which I gave you guys. If you don't have any of these supplies, I highly recommend going out and buying these, okay? Because you're not going to be able to do the project without them. So, first thing we are going to do, we're going to pick which color we think is going to work in my final picture. So, honestly, it doesn't matter too much. If you're confused about what color you should use, just ask me and I'll give you my suggestion of what I think you should do. But for mine, I'm going to use yellow. So, the red paper is going to go. Okay, so I'm only focusing on the yellow, which you should have 2 sheets of. Okay, now, next thing, I am going to unpackage my X-Acto blade, and I'm going to be very careful with this thing from here on out because it is very, very sharp. Okay, please do not cut yourself. Just go slow. And then secondly, anytime you are cutting using the X-Acto blade, please use the cutting board. That's why it's there. Do not just use the X-Acto blade on a table because you will ruin the table. Okay, now, I'm going to take the scissors, or the X-Acto blade if you want to do it this way. It's easier with the scissors though. And I am going to cut the poster board to be about a 1/2 inch to 1 inch wider than the entire surface area of my picture. Okay, be right back. I'm going to do that. Okay, so I've removed the X-Acto blade from the packaging and I put the cap on that's included. It comes with an extra little cap, which you could keep or throw out, whatever you want to do. You're probably not going to need the extra blades. I would be shocked if you do, because the blade's going to just glide right through this paper, so it's not going to dull very much in the process of doing this thing. So I'm going to put these extra blades back in my art bag. I've also cut the poster board to match, like I said, about 1 inch to 1.5 inches wider than the entire surface area. So I also don't need this extra poster board right now. This extra poster board is going to go someplace else. Okay, so on to the next step. All right, guys, so here I am now. I got my poster board down here. Make sure you take off this barcode thing if it was in the piece of the paper that you're using. Get rid of that. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here with the paper is I'm going to remove the entirety of the background, okay? I have gone through each of your submitted pictures, and I have put in a red line around what constitutes the background in your picture. And I've shared this with you. I emailed the link to you guys. Now, I did this because some of you guys have really distinct background. Like some of you guys, it's very easy to figure out what's foreground, what's background in your pictures. Versus other guys in here, it's a little bit more ambiguous. So I just wanted to give you guys all kind of like a baseline of where you should be cutting. Back here, I'm going to go through and I'm going to remove the entirety of the background of my character. I'm going to get rid of this because I don't want to cut through the poster board. This is a cutting board, so I am cutting on a cutting board. And I'm going to use the scissors for this. You can use an X-Acto blade. It's honestly preferential. If you like the X-Acto blade better, use it. I find it's a little bit more dangerous because if you accidentally go further in a cut, you can cut into some other place you don't want to be cutting into. But some of you guys like the X-Acto blade a little bit better because it's less hand movement. So I'm going to go through this whole thing, and I'm just going to cut out the entirety of the foreground from the background. I'm going to speed this up. Be right back. Guys, remember, you don't have to cut it out in one solid chunk. If you want to cut it out in pieces, you can do that. By the way, the background just gets thrown out, so you don't need this. So you'll notice here I still have more background to go, but I just cut off. It's not like I need this to be one solid piece. This has no bearing on the final image. Okay, so there we have it. There is my image with the background removed. I had background up here and I had background in this spot. Kind of see it a little bit better on the poster board right now. I kind of get a sense of how big it's going to be a little bit. But again, this is going to distort a little bit when we actually get into the gluing process. Okay, so next step, gluing. All right, so this is the big step that is complicated if you want to look at it like that. I have my glue here. Now, the glue, I'm going to twist the top of it open. Okay, right here. Not this. And then I'm just going to give it like a little bit of a press. And if you hear air coming out of it, it means that it's clear. These are brand new glues, so you shouldn't really have a problem with that. All right, now, so I am going to start at a corner. Okay, or the bottom or the side. It has to be from an edge. It can't be from up here. Okay, like these floating areas. It kind of has to be from an edge. For you guys in here who have a completely free floating thing, okay, just start from, I guess, any random spot, but it has to be a side point. Okay, it can't be from a center area. All right, so I'm gonna just go down to the bottom of Samus here. And I'm going to find my first contained spot. Now, what do I mean by contained? Right here I have this sliver. Okay? And you'll notice the sliver has black outline completely around it. So if I was walking around in this area, I couldn't cross the black line. Okay? This is a contained spot. Okay? Your actual, you can't go through any line. It's just this one area. There's no line break. Okay, so for example, the way I like to explain this is, if you were to put this into like a drawing program like Paint or Photoshop, and I were to take the paint bucket tool and I were to paint bucket this area, the color couldn't seep into any of the surrounding areas because it's contained. Okay, so I'm going to go to this contained spot. This is going to be the first thing I'm going to cut out. Now, I'm only going to cut out this contained area. If you cut on the line, on the other side of the line, or cut around the line, that's all fine. It doesn't really matter so much. Okay, I got this, so I got this little thing cut out. Okay, I'm gonna move this for a second. Now, my next step is I'm going to remove any visible ink that I see. Any visible ink is going. So everywhere that I use the Sharpie on, or for you guys who use the number 2 pencil on, I'm going to remove until it's just the base image. So these little scraps, these are gone. These are garbage. Okay, so I have this piece. Now, I'm going to bring my picture back down. Okay, and I'm going to take my glue. I'm going to flip the piece over. I'm going to glue the piece. Okay, and then using the overall image as a indicator, I'm going to glue it right there. You see how I have the gapping? That's where I cut the line away. Okay, now I'm going to move to the next connected spot, which I guess I could go, I'm going to go here to this thing. Here and here. Okay, I'm just going to go to my next connected spot. Again, I'm picking what's connected. Again, I'm cutting away my ink line. My ink line is going. Now, the thing about this area is, I don't know if you guys can see this very well, but I have some shadow spots here I drew in. So I'm going to cut away these shadow spots too, because these are ink. Gone. Again, I can't say this enough. There is a degree of abstraction with this project. You're not going to see everything perfectly. Okay, there it is. Here's my scraps right there. I'm going to throw these out. These go in the garbage. I'm going to put this back down. Again, I'm going to flip over my piece. And I'm going to glue the side of it like this. I'm going to use my picture, again, my overall picture. I'm going to use it for my indicator. I'm going to line it up with the last piece. I'm going to put this piece down. I am never going to glue down a piece without using the overall picture as an indicator. I'm never going to do that, because that's when you start to get into issues where you're accidentally gluing things in wrong places. This glue will cement down very quickly because it's paper. Okay, so there's my first thing there. Now I'm going to go on to my next connected area, which I might as well just do this next little rib here. And again, I'm going to remove my ink line from all my areas. And again, if you're more comfortable doing this with the X-Acto blade, that's why it's there. Okay, there's that. I'm going to flip it. I'm going to glue it. I'm going to line it up again. I'm going to glue it in place. Okay, I'm being kind of aware of the distancing between the lines, the white spaces. Okay, and now I'm going to go on to my next spot, which is going to be right here. And again, I'm removing my ink line. Everywhere I see ink, it's going. Oh, this one's going to be a little dicey because it's thin. I'm going to flip it, glue it, line up my overall shape again, and I'm going to glue this down. You can already see that I'm getting some abstraction with the line, okay? Again, like I said, that's gonna happen. You're gonna have no way to avoid that. All right, so I'm gonna keep going through this picture, cutting out my pieces, removing the line, flipping them over, gluing them down, until I get to my color spot in the helmet, which honestly is probably gonna be one of the very last things I do here. Oh, and I have a negation up here that I want to talk to you guys about. So I'm actually going to beeline up to that part in the body just so I can show you guys that, because some of you guys are going to encounter color spots and negations a lot sooner than I am. Mine just happened to be later, okay? Yours might be right away. All right, so I'm going to speed this up. Be right back. Hey, guess what? YouTube only lets me put up 15-minute videos, so continue on to part 2.